Hello, hello, hello. It is I, Diane, once again welcoming you to the Drew Carey's Improv-A-Ganza unofficial channel here on the interwebs via YouTube. I am coming to you from my microphone in my apartment, giving you show reviews of the shows that I attended just this last weekend. And this is my final video for right now. It is of the very last of the shows that I went to, the 7th show. If you haven't already heard, I will be going to 6 more tapings around Super Bowl weekend. I won't be going to the next set, which starts tomorrow, but I will be going to the last set, and I will be doing more show reviews on those. If you guys like these, if you guys absolutely hate these, and no one cares about them, then perhaps I won't do them. But hopefully, at least a few people think that they're somewhat informative, and they're enjoying them. And that is what I hope for, or at the very least, they're getting you a little bit more excited about the show when it finally starts airing. I do ask that you please listen to the first few videos if you haven't already, because they give you some basic information that you might have some questions on, and I just don't want to have to keep repeating myself every video, so I'd rather just ask you to please watch those first, 3 videos or so instead, as I explain some games, how they're played, and set design, and some other things as well. So let's get to this last show report. This show consisted of Greg Proops, Colin Mockery, Ryan Stiles, Jeff B. Davis, Chip Eston, and of course Drew Carey. Drew, by the way, has lost a tremendous amount of weight, which he should be highly commended for. He's worked very, very hard to get the weight off, and everyone should be really proud of him. And I know there's a lot of people who are going, I like Fat Drew better, and I used to be one of those people. But I saw Drew in person, and wow, he looks fabulous. He looks absolutely stunning. The pictures of him recently, and even seeing him on TV, do not do him justice. He is a fine-looking man. Not that he wasn't before, but he is quite fine-looking now. So much applause to Drew for working so hard to get the weight off, because you can just even see it in his smile that he is so much happier now. And I know this really isn't a review on the show, but for those of you who like Drew, and those of you who are complaining that Drew isn't going to be as funny because he's not overweight, well, I think it's quite the opposite. I think Drew is funnier now more than ever because he is that much happier, and it translates into his comedy. Anyway, so I'd like to start off with Freeze Tag. I'd like to start off with it because that was the first game that was played, as always. The second game was again New Choice with Ryan and Greg, and I guess I didn't write down what the suggestion was for it. The third game was Song to an Audience Member, sung by Jeff and Chip in the form of Neil Diamond. The fourth game was Options with Drew and Colin, and Drew, I believe, was a, I can't remember. I know one of them was a Mexican, and one of them was an Italian, and they were both running a restaurant together. I can't remember who was who, though. The fifth game was Question This, and it consisted of everyone except for Colin. The sixth game was Forward Reverse, which had Greg and Drew set in the Middle Ages. And again, I always really love Forward Reverse. And I love the time period of the Middle Ages, too, so I really enjoyed that one particularly. The seventh game was Moving People, played by Colin and Greg, and it was set in Sweden. The eighth game was Bob's Call, yet again, played by Ryan and Colin, and they were nurses. Now, I said before in the previous one that there had been a little bit of awkwardness between Ryan and Colin, and that was the first time they played together. But this game was the exact opposite. This particular Bob's Call with Ryan and Colin as nurses was true Whose Line-esque in the form of that wonderful chemistry that always sparked and brewed when Ryan and Colin performed together. It had returned, and that was just an absolutely just downright funny Bob's Call. And they both played off of one another so well. And Colin used to have a knack for making Ryan crack up on stage during the shows. And he did it again, and Ryan was cracking up quite a lot. And I love it when they crack up, because when they laugh, it makes me laugh all that much harder. And so I know that when that is shown, if it's shown, and I hope it is, that everyone will enjoy that particularly. The 9th game was sound effects with Greg and Chip, and they were archaeologists, which was one of my suggestions. I'd been suggesting that like every show, and I was glad that they finally took it. It was sound effects. And then the 10th game was sentences with Drew and Jeff, called Into the Depths of the Dungeon. And that was a really good one, too. This very last show, was by far my favorite of all the 7. The very first show was stupendous, but this last one was absolutely stellar. It blew my mind. I laughed so hard I cried. My sides were hurting. It was just an all-around really great show, and, I give, virtual cookies to all of the performers and cast and crew. It was a great way to end going to 7 different shows, to me. Maybe someone else felt otherwise, but to me, I really enjoyed it, so I hope that you did too. Anyway, the next game was Greatest Hits, Songs of the Farmer. Ryan and Colin did the advertising, and Chip and Jeff did the singing, in forms of a country waltz, a pop song, and another jazz ballad. And Ryan and Colin again were working together, and yes, they had a good time, and it was fun to see them. It really was fun to see them do their thing, as they say. And then the last game was Fairy Tale. And I have a little bit of an exasperated sigh in my breath, because you might have heard by now, but, well, they had a special guest come up for this particular game, and that special guest was none other than Charlie Sheen from 2.5 Men. Charlie Sheen being an actor who has had not the best of rep lately in the press, to say the least. But Ryan obviously knows him because he works with him on 2.5 Men. And Charlie Sheen was given a very big, long introduction by Greg, which really hyped up the crowd. And when they introduced him, Charlie did not originally show. Then when he did show, he was inebriated. Let's just say that. Kind of staggered up, and throughout the course of Fairy Tale, he didn't quite understand how to play, and he said some things that were rather rude and vulgar, and it just... I know some people thought it was probably funny, but to me, it was not a good way to end the show. I know I'm mentioning this not because I'm trying to put it down or give any more bad rep than it already has, but because I know a lot of people are wondering if it even really happened, what exactly happened, what was said. I'm not going to go into a whole lot of details, but the articles, the way they're written, are glorifying it, and it was not something to be glorified. Charlie Sheen, one article even said that Charlie Sheen was a a comic hero or something to that effect, that it was a comedy masterpiece, and comedy masterpiece it was not. And I know that, again, a lot of people are going to want to maybe even see what was happening, and I sincerely doubt the GSN will be airing that because of what was said. Perhaps they will edit it, and maybe parts of it will air. I don't know. But it was not the best, which was too bad, because had Charlie, done his thing correctly, it could have been really funny. Anyway, that's all I have for right now. And so, once again, I thank you so much for listening to these. I hope you've enjoyed them, and I hope that I haven't been too bad of a show reviewer or reporter, that my voice and my random mistakes haven't been too noticeable. But yes, just if you have any more questions, I will try and answer them to the best of my means. Feel free to drop me an email or send me a message, and I will answer them as well as I can. There are certain things I probably couldn't give away information on, again, on like particulars, but if there's something in specific you want to know more about, like at a particular show or particular game, I'll try and tell you what I can remember if you want. I'm free, I'm happy to talk to people. And, so feel free to contact me, and feel free to let me know if you enjoyed these or not. Have a great night, everyone. And thank you again. Signing out. Peace.